Welcome, and thank you for standing by. All participants will be on listen only until the question and answer session of today's conference. As a reminder, today's call is being recorded. If you have any objections, please disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the call over to Ms. Kelly Holloway, Department of Commerce. Ma'am, you may begin.
Thank you, and thank you to all of our participants for coming on the line today for our Basic Guide to Exporting webinar. This is one in a series of about 18 programs this spring. Today's topic is, of course, using export data to find markets and price your products. It's a great series. We will be providing all of you with a recording from today's program. You should have already received the presentation, but we're happy to forward that following the event as well. At the bottom of the screen, you see a URL where you likely went to originally to register. There's a few programs that are coming up still. If you haven't, I'd encourage you to consider those. And then note that we are placing a number of our programs on our website, the recorded programs, that is. So if you missed one in the past, you can go there to find the topic. This is all at export.gov/basic guide. You can route to these particular programs and resources, and we encourage you to do so. And this is one of our efforts in support of the National Export Initiative, which is a very important goal under this administration to double exports in 5 years, going through 2015. We're making great progress as a country, and most jobs do come from small, medium-sized enterprises, and two-thirds of the world's customers are overseas. So we're glad you're paying attention to this and can join us today. We have a great agenda. Terry Long is a program analyst with the Data Dissemination Group, Foreign Trade Division at the U.S. Census Bureau. She's going to be talking about some of the issues you see here, using available census data to analyze goods going to foreign markets and run reports and basically just build your export expertise. So it will be a very useful tool as you strategize on which markets to go after, how to price your products, what the competition is doing. Very useful topics. Terry has a great experience with the Department of Commerce, starting a number of years ago with a division called Stat USA. She and I were just laughing. This was long before the days of the Internet, where there were actual hard copies of research reports from overseas and other data, and that was the source of information and how things have changed. Following her tenure at Stat USA, where she served as a marketing associate in the education and outreach team, she went over to the Bureau of Industry and Security, a group of the Department of Commerce that looks at export licensing areas, and has also been with Economic Development Administration. So has a great breadth of experience on the resources and tools available through the Department of Commerce to help American businesses export more. I should mention that my group is the Trade Information Center with the Department of Commerce, and we operate a 1-800-USA Trade phone number and basically a call center with international trade specialists able to help you get started. So while today we're looking at a specific issue, if at any time you need other assistance related to exporting, please do keep that number handy, 1-800-USA Trade. It's a great way to be directed to the right federal resource to help answer the questions that you need as it relates to exporting and expanding your markets overseas. And May is World Trade Month, so what a good month to get started. This is the main website that you see here, and as you can see, there's great links to many resources, from finance to understanding tariffs that apply in particular countries, how to protect your IP, and a wealth of information. But let me get to the meat of the program today, which of course will come from Terry Long. And I should just point out, too, in terms of some of the housekeeping issues, you'll see a Q&A tab at the top of your screen. At any time during her remarks, you can type in a question, and we will address those at the end of the program, about the last 15, 20 minutes or so, both the questions that you type as well as an operator-facilitated Q&A session. So please feel free to type those in as we go. And with that, Terry, please.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Kelly. Just one quick thing. I think I'm looking at the requirements regulations program instead of mine.
Minor detail, okay. This is one of our past basic guide to exporting programs that was very useful and helpful. And thanks for everyone for your patience while we bring in the next one. Maybe, Terry, you could tell a little bit about yourself and what your group is doing while this other PowerPoint loads up.
Okay. Again, my name is Terry Long, and I am a program analyst with the Foreign Trade Division of the U.S. Census Bureau. I am relatively new to the Census Bureau. I've only been here for about 7 or 8 months. However, we work directly with the foreign trade data. It is our job in this office specifically to disseminate that information. And the most popular aspect of what we do is the Foreign Trade International Goods and Services Release, which I will be talking about in this presentation. And I see that it's up now, so we're ready to get started. Today I'm going to be discussing the brief definitions of types of trade data that are available, where and how to access publicly available trade data, and how to use trade data to find emerging markets and compare an individual company's performance relative to its peer group. Here at Foreign Trade, we defined our 2 types of exports. They're domestic, which is domestic exports are goods that are grown, mined, manufactured, or otherwise produced in the United States. Foreign exports are goods that have been imported into the United States, then are re-exported in substantially the same condition as when they were imported. Total exports are the most commonly used definition of exports, and it simply combines domestic and foreign exports. The value of exports is determined by the price paid for the goods plus cost incurred getting the goods to the port alongside the ship. General imports are the most commonly used definition for imports. These are all goods for import crossing the border into the United States, including goods that go directly into consumption channels or those that enter bonded warehouses or foreign trade zones. Foreign trade zones are considered outside U.S. Customs territory. They allow goods to be brought in for processing without paying import duties on those inputs. Another measure of goods is called imports for consumption. These goods include goods that enter directly into consumption channels. They do not include goods entering foreign trade zones, but they do include goods coming out of foreign trade zones if they are being entered into U.S. Customs territory. Due to data confidentiality issues, the Census Bureau provides only aggregated statistics. Just as your 2010 census form you submitted this summer is confidential, so are business records submitted to the Census Bureau. The only exceptions are for national interest concerns, which are unlikely to apply to this particular audience. In summary, the Census Bureau trade data is focused on the movement of goods. That's why we use broad definitions of total exports and general imports to get the most complete picture of trade possible. A couple of things we do include in trade statistics: trade between the U.S. and possessions, although trade between Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands and other countries are considered U.S. trade. Not included are in-transit trade shipments. For example, a shipment comes from Japan into Seattle, then is loaded on a truck and sent to Canada. Shipments such as these are excluded from U.S. trade statistics. We collect data using a 10-digit code called the Harmonized System, which I will go into a little more in a few slides. All trade data are published monthly. And by monthly, there is about a 6-week lag in trade data. We are currently publishing March 2011. Here are a few fields available in our trade data. Quantity varies by commodity, usually metric quantities. Some goods require multiple quantities to be filed. Values for commodity-specific data are published on a nominal basis to the U.S. dollar. Some summary stats are available on a seasonally adjusted or constant dollar basis. District import of export for exports, district import of unlading, and district of entry for imports. Method of transportation includes air, vessel, containerized vessel, and others. Special trade programs such as goods imported under NAFTA or the GSP, exports and imports by state, and a variety of classification systems, as we'll see next. All the data are published about 43 days after the end of the month. There is no lag between the summary data and the detailed data, and all data is available 8:30 a.m. on press release morning. These are the classification systems that the Census Bureau publishes our statistics under. The Harmonized System, or HS, is a system used to collect trade data. This is a 10-digit code that all goods are classified by when they are exported or imported. Exports are classified using the Schedule B. There are about 9,000 classifications. Imports are classified under the Harmonized Tariff Schedule, and there are about 8,000 classifications. The in-use system allows data users to fit trade data into the National Income Accounts, better known as GDP. The Standard International Trade Classification, or SITC, is defined by the UN. It allows for comparison of trade data across different countries. The North American Industry Classification System, or NAICS as we like to call it, replaced the SIC in 2000. It provides a good industry-level overview of trade and allows for comparisons of trade data and domestic production data. Now that we have a good overview of trade data definitions, how can this trade data be accessed? Our most comprehensive tool is called USA Trade Online. It is a subscription service, and there are 4 databases within USA Trade Online. The first provides detailed commodity data published by the same 10-digit harmonized system code used to collect the data. You can see quantity and value for each 10-digit code broken down by partner country and district where the goods enter or leave the country. The series contains annual data back to 1992 and monthly data back to January 2002. The second database on USA Trade Online contains exports by state. The state of export is based on where the goods begin their journey to leave the country. It is not necessarily where the goods are produced or grown. For each commodity, you can see the state of export, value, and shipping weight, and method of transportation. The state export data series begins with January 2002. State import data has been added to USA Trade Online. State import data is available from January 2008 on a monthly and annual basis. The third database available is through individual ports. For exports, this is the port of export, and for imports, it is the port of unlading, or where the goods are physically loaded off the ship. We have commodity, value, shipping weight, and method of transportation. To minimize unintentional disclosure of an individual company's trade, some commodity detail is sacrificed in order to provide more geographical detail. The port data series begins with January 2003. The final database on USA Trade Online uses the NAICS classification system. As I mentioned earlier, NAICS is a good system if you're looking for industry-level overview. While the other databases use just total exports and general imports, the NAICS database includes several different measures. As you can see here, that would be import values of general customs, general CIF, consumption customs, and consumption CIF values, as well as total domestic and foreign values. Balance of trade is also included here as well. In case you're wondering, our largest trade surplus is in agricultural products, and our largest trade deficit is, of course, oil and gas. Other than USA Trade Online, there are a lot of data available directly on the Census Bureau website of www.census.gov/trade. The data here tends to be aggregated at a higher summary level. This is also the place to go get your export classification codes or information on export regulations or the automated export system known as AES. Statistics can affect the GDP, assist in trade negotiations, impact investment decisions and impact the federal interest rate. Most importantly for you here, detailed trade data can help small businesses find emerging markets or determine market share. Now I'm going to walk you through an example of how a company could use trade data to find emerging markets. We will use trade data to identify which countries are buying U.S. exports, which countries are showing the most growth, and whether there are trends emerging over time. The company in these examples are fictional, but the trade data are real. In this example, Furniture R Us is a U.S. furniture company. In their search for an overseas market, they begin looking at the overall trend in upholstered furniture exports in the largest destination country. As we see in their search for overseas markets, they begin by looking at the overall trend in the United States, upholstered furniture exports in the largest destination country. As you can see, exports to Canada make up a huge portion, more than half of all exports. As a result, the blue overall trade line closely follows the red Canada line. Looking at the sharp downturn in 2009 displayed in this chart might make you think it was a rough year all around in the global furniture market. However, Furniture R Us also looks at other countries that may show promising trends. Another large destination for furniture, Mexico, also dropped off in 2009. But two smaller markets, Saudi Arabia and Israel, show steadily increases over the last few years, even as the global market dropped off in 2009. Saudi Arabia, in particular, continued its very strong growth into 2010. Using this information, Furniture R Us could decide to seek buyers in Israel or Saudi Arabia. Once they have made this decision, other agencies that are part of the Department of Commerce, such as the U.S. Commercial Service, could assist the company in identifying potential buyers in those countries. Our data allows businesses to diversify and defend against decreases by finding increases in different markets.
And Terry, does the data when you do the search actually generate graphs like this?
The data when you do the search on USA Trade Online does generate graphs, not exactly identical to this one, but it has colorful graphs. There are 15 options. It can do 3D pie charts, regular pie, bar, graph, column, and splice. How would a company determine its market share? By comparing their own overseas sales numbers to trade data published by the Census Bureau, a company can calculate its market share and determine how it is doing relative to its peer group. Again, it is important here that the specific company information cannot be released by the Census Bureau, so we're working with a fictional company. In 2008, Acme Inc. exported $400,000 worth of upholstered wooden furniture to China. The following year, Acme exported $800,000 worth of upholstery wooden furniture to China. Acme can use this knowledge to make decisions about how it does business. As you can see that U.S. upholstered wooden furniture exports to China totaled $2.7 million in 2008 and $3.9 million in 2009. Acme's market share in China grew from 15% to 21% in just 1 year. From its own documents, Acme knows that they exported $250,000 worth of upholstered wooden furniture to Israel in 2009. The following year, Acme exported $400,000 worth of upholstered furniture to Israel. In these charts, this is what is represented as Acme uses census trade data to determine that U.S. upholstered wooden furniture exports to Israel totaled $1.8 million in 2009 and $1.9 million in 2010. This is what the trade data looks like when you get it from USA Trade Online. Here you can see that Canada is by far the largest importer of U.S. upholstered wooden furniture. As with most trade, there was a pretty large drop-off in upholstered furniture in 2009. In fact, total U.S. trade fell by 20% in 2009, so this is right in line. By taking a closer look, a more detailed look at the data, a company can determine strong external markets even during an overall downturn. And while this example has 2009 data, USA Trade Online is current data, so it has 2010 annual and currently March 2011 year-to-date statistics. We've seen how trade data can help a company by identifying emerging markets and determining market share. I won't go into an example here, but hopefully you can see how you could use import data to get an idea of what your foreign competition is doing in the U.S. domestic market. There are many ways of looking at trade data, including by industry, port, and detailed commodity. Also available on the Census Bureau website are NAICS data, industry-based, where you can use the Census survey data, the state data, which includes the state export series from 2002 to present, and state import data, which says coming in March, but it is actually available now. On the state data on the census.gov trade website, you will be able to identify the top 25 commodities for each state. This is for imports and exports. There is also advanced technology product data in categories ranging from biotech to nuclear technology. In addition, there is also the, as I mentioned before, the FT900 U.S. International Trades and Goods and Services Report that not only details the current trade for the month and for previous years, it also breaks it down into certain end-use commodity categories for petroleum. If you have any additional questions about foreign trade or about USA Trade Online specifically, you can call 301-763-2311 or 1-800-549-0595 and select option 4. You may ask for me, my name is Terry again, or anyone else can assist you. You may also visit one of our two main websites, www.census.gov/trade or usatradeonline.gov. Now I'm open for any questions that you guys may have.
Great. Thank you, Terry. And let me ask you this. So when people do phone one of these numbers and ask for a bit of assistance, is it just technical assistance and where to find what type of information, or are there people at that call center that can also walk a company, walk an individual through the process?
There are people here, we can all walk you through a process. For example, let's say you were using USA Trade Online. We can sit here and walk you through step-by-step how to use that database and actually help you download your own individual reports. And currently, and this is not mentioned in the presentation, but USA Trade Online actually has a free trial that's available on the home page. So it takes about 3 minutes to register.
About 3 minutes to register. Is there, I'm sorry, you said a free trial, so there's a fee to get at the full access to those, what did you say, 4 or 6 databases?
Yes. USA Trade Online is a subscription service, and currently there's a free trial. It's a 7-day free trial for full access. After that, you can purchase a subscription for $25 for a week, $75 for a month, or $300 for a year. There's also access for multi-users. If you're looking to have an entire company, we have a discount price for that, which varies by the number of users.
Okay. And how does the data and information published there compare to what's available on the USITC site? There's a dataweb.usitc.gov.
Correct. The data web that they're using, their information that they have, they obtain. They use our trade statistics. Our export data is what they're using on their system. Mm-hmm. So it's our data. We are the official source, and we actually have it in a more timely manner because we release it 8:30 in the morning, and they're waiting to get it from us.
So you have it sooner, and it sounds like from what you're describing, the level of detail to which a user can drill down on your site is greater than what is available on the data web.
Correct. USA Trade Online for the HS is drilled down to the 10-digit level, and for NAICS at the district level, you can drill all the way down to the 6-digit level.
Okay. And that relates to another question that came in, which is, and maybe you've just answered it, but the person typed in, the census data described in detail what type of, using furniture as an example, what type of wooden furniture is exported, or is it a broader definition, all types of furniture?
Under NAICS, it would be a broader definition for furniture. Under the HS, it'll be very specific. It can, going off the top of my head, it could be as like the type of wood that's used in the furniture. It starts off broad at the 2-digit category, and the more specific you get, the more it expands into the 10-digit category, and that's where you can actually say chairs that are wooden or tables that are wooden.
Okay, good, thank you. Well, I appreciate everyone who is typing in the questions. Please continue to do so. I'm going to ask the operator, Tanya, to come on the line now and tell you how the Q&A, the open Q&A session will work.
Thank you. If you'd like to ask a question on the audio portion, please press star 1. You will be prompted to pre-record your first and last name. To withdraw your question, please press star 2. Once again, to ask a question, please press star 1. One moment.
Great. And while that's queuing up, Terry, can the users from your site obtain information on other methods of transport, such as truck and rail, or is it only by ship?
You can obtain air and air and vessel, but not truck and rail. There's the rest of the categories under the other. So you can actually subtract. You can subtract air and you can subtract vessel, and the difference would be the combination of the others. But that's only available under port level.
Okay. Operator, are there any questions?
We do have a question. One moment. Freddie Liu, your line is open.
Okay. My question is, what level of details the HS code or another NET code can be? Like, you're talking about furniture, you're talking about certain type of wood furniture, but do you have the information like the iPod or IP phone, or
okay,
generally say cell phone? Because
okay,
I have
go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
Problems, people want to have very detailed information. So just example, as I mentioned, that how many IP phones exported or imported? Is that any data I can go to that level rather than computer or cell phone?
Okay, we wouldn't have the number of iPhones because that's company specific, and we can't, under disclosure reasons, publish that information. We would have cell phones, and there would be another category for radios and TVs. It's kind of bizarre because they're still using the category of TV and VCRs. Most people are now using Blu-ray players, but all of those a lot of that electronic equipment is included in that category. But cell phones are available, but iPods, we would not be able to have that information because it's Apple specific.
So I think it's important to clarify, because I'm sure many others would love the data to be very specific to their product, but you are limited in what you publish by the depth of detail in the HS code. So to that 10-digit definition, whatever that is that right?
That is correct. The 10-digit code, they're set. They update codes every year. Sometimes they add, sometimes they subtract codes, but everything within USA Trade Online has a 10-digit harmonized system commodity classification code. And so it has to fall into that particular category. So it'll, like I said, it will never say iPod, for example. Hopefully they will, in the near future, add a category for MP3 players, which would be nice, but it's not there now.
Okay. Now, the other type of questions is, for example, there's a lot of wood exporting, importing, and then whether I would be able to find Douglas fir log or just as log as general.
You said for logs or wood?
Wood log.
Wood logs.
She was specific to the tree. She said Douglas fir logs.
Okay, when you're searching for wood, it is specific to the tree in terms of their fir, their pine, redwoods, teak wood, and so on, mahogany, but beechwood. I'm actually scrolling through some of the categories right now as I'm reading them off to you, and cherry wood, things like that.
Okay.
So for the users, thank you for that question. For the users that are multitasking, Terry, and they wanted to reference to find their products on the HS code, where should they? Should they go to census.gov/trade?
Yes, if you're looking for your Schedule B code, you want to go to www.census.gov/trade and select the Schedule B tab. And from there, you can actually run a search by product description and drill down on that service to obtain a 10-digit code. And if you don't have the time to do that, you can always call the 800 number, which is 1-800-549-0595, and select option 2 for assistance in obtaining a Schedule B number.
Operator, are there other questions in the queue?
Once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1. Larita Zane, your line is open.
Yes, Terry, I have a question about telephones. I want to know, is it going to... Hello?
I'm sorry, your question didn't come through. Could you repeat that, please?
Sure. I want to know, do you have information on telephones? Our company sell voice over IP telephones, voice over internet protocol telephones, and would you have that level of detail? Would we look in the census or the USA tradeonline.gov?
Okay, thank you for that question. By searching for telephones, what we have, there isn't one for voice over IP. There is categories for multi-line telephones, radio telephones for installation within cars, cellular radio telephones. And if I look up phones by itself, there's cordless handset telephones, and there are cell phones. And then there's no voice over IP phones.
And again, so right now what you're looking at, what you're telling this caller is that you're looking in the Schedule B, the HTS descriptions, the Schedule B number, to confirm what data you would have available, right?
Correct. And for me, what I'm doing, there's a Schedule B number for every commodity. So it could be in the Schedule B search, but not necessarily on USA Trade Online. That's something to keep in mind. Everything on USA Trade Online is a good and not a service, for example. So it's like when I was looking for the voice over IPs, I looked directly on USA Trade Online to see the types of telephones that were carried, and voice over IP was not listed as an option. That just means that it's being classified under one of the other categories, and that's where you would probably have to speak with someone at the commodity group who can actually tell you which classification it's under.
Thank you. A few questions.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, caller. A few questions have typed in related to other countries' data, and if that's included in what you're offering, as well as foreign buyers, who, not only which country, where are these goods being shipped, but any more specific, capturing of the buyers in the foreign countries.
Okay. Well, USA Trade Online and actually Census.gov only carries U.S. import and export. So it's only U.S. trade information. And we do not carry the foreign buyers or even the domestic buyers information.
Is there another question in the queue, operator?
Mr. Samani, your line is open.
Yes. Sometimes we have problem in finding the Schedule B number exactly. Like, for example, we are exporting plugs for heat exchangers.
Okay.
So it took me a long time, and I still could not figure out exact Schedule B number for this product.
Okay, if you ever run into a problem where you're using the Schedule B search,
Yes.
And you cannot quickly obtain your Schedule B number, that is when the best option would be to call directly,
Okay.
and a commodity specialist will be able to assist you and help you classify your product quickly. Within that grouping, they actually have people who are specialists in particular what they call chapter areas, which are the 2-digit codes.
Yeah.
So when you call, you can actually say, I'm looking to classify my product, and you would describe it, and then they can actually transfer you to someone who should be able to classify it for you within minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
And then
You're welcome.
related to that, we did, in our Basic Guide to Exporting series, host a webinar on how to find HS codes and calculate duties and taxes based on that. And those are the foreign country import duties and taxes, not U.S. Taxes for importing to the U.S. So I want to, in addition to the great advice that Terry's giving you and that 1-800 number to speak with a commodity specialist at Census, you can also find useful information through that webinar. It's export.gov/webinars is the URL where recorded programs from our Basic Guide to Exporting series are posted.
Okay.
Operator, is there another question?
There is one other question. Please state your name. Please unmute your line and state your name.
This is Tom.
Your line is open.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. If in case that I try to find the market share of the product that I export, do I find that information in the census.gov, or do I have to log on into the USATradeOnline.gov?
For that type of information, you would have to log on to usatradeonline.gov. On the Census website, they actually have the overall export value by country, current year and previous year, and actually historical data as well. But it doesn't have the product breakdown that USA Trade Online does. So if you're looking for a market share for a specific product, you would definitely have to register for USA Trade Online.
And that is the subscription?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Which also has a free trial.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And for everybody listening, the free trial is for the full database of USA Trade Online. So you're able to use all of the data sets. You're able to download all of your reports. And when you can download them into Excel or a common delimited format.
Wonderful. A great way to test it out, see if it's information worthwhile before
Correct.
emitting.
I'm sorry, Kelly, I just wanted to add one more thing. By registering for USA Trade Online, if you're actually looking at particular commodities or particular market, you can save your report on the USA Trade Online software, and every month with the data release, it will automatically update. So if you've configured your report to select, for example, 5 commodities that you're tracking internationally, every month with the data update, it will automatically update for you.
Wow, that's a great feature because I imagine it takes some time to get into the system, find the right classifications.
Correct, yes.
That's terrific. And one of the listeners had asked if there was a fee when you contact someone to assist in the classification of a code.
Not at all, no. We are very happy to help you guys find your commodity classification code or help you use the census.gov/trade website and even help you with USA Trade Online. We are very actually looking forward to speaking with everybody when they call. And in some cases, if you're just, this is not part of USA Trade Online, but if you're just looking for one, like you just want to know the top trade, we can give you that information over the phone. We can send you a spreadsheet via email as well.
A couple of questions have come in related to weight. For example, does the database provide weight on import and export or just U.S. dollar value?
It provides quantity and weight is included, and it's for the 10-digit district level only under HS, which means that if you're looking for a 2-digit code, for example, 09, which is coffee, tea, and spices, you would not get weight there. But if you got very specific with green tea, fermented, you can get the quantity at that level. And the unit of measure varies from each commodity. So for some, it's in kilograms, and for others, it's just the number, like, for example, cell phones. It's just the number of cell phones that are imported and exported. There are also barrels, liters, and so on. It varies depending on the commodity. And then at the port level and the state level, you actually get the vessel weight and containerized weight and air weight.
One person had typed in if you could explain how to determine the value of your product being exported. I mean, my understanding is that based on documentation that's provided at the time of shipment and then plugged into Census, value is based on the sales value, the sales invoice.
I believe it is based on the bill of lading, but I'm not the expert on that. So for that one, I can either you can either email me and I can get that information to you shortly, or you can call the number, the 1-800 number, and someone else will be able to answer that quickly. But I believe it's based upon the bill of lading.
Operator, are there other questions in the queue?
Betty Lou, your line is open.
Okay, I don't know whether this is the time to discuss some technical issues, because I noticed that when I try to download the file, things like that, it's very, very slow. Sometimes I stay there overnight and it didn't come up, the number.
What browser are you using?
I'm using the Google Chrome.
Okay, this is a very good question. I'm so glad that you brought this up. USA Trade Online works best with Internet Explorer or Firefox. With Chrome and Safari and the current software, it works up to a certain point, which is typically the download point, and then it freezes. The software company has told us that they are going to fix that glitch within the next upgrade, which is hopefully coming soon. But for now, you would have to use Internet Explorer or Firefox.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for that question.
Yeah, good one. Back to the type of transport. Is rail transport to and from Mexico included in the data set?
No rail data specifically. It's just the air and the vessel. So for Mexico, it would be air primarily. And there's the other category, and inside the other category is where you would find rail and truck.
A couple of questions have come in that get to what's a bit outside of the scope of what Census would provide, and I think you made reference in your presentation. This is an excellent resource for assessing foreign markets, where product is going, so where what increase at what rate, and to help companies determine where they want to dedicate their energy. Of course, dollars and time is limited to pursue these foreign markets. After that data, that research piece of it, I want to encourage companies to look to the U.S. Commercial Service to help find overseas buyers. The U.S. Commercial Service can also help confirm regulatory issues as it relates to certifications or standards for importing particular products. The U.S. Commercial Service can also, if you are having issues as it relates to payment and financing, direct you to appropriate resources in that regard as well. Again, that number, 1-800-USA-TRADE is, or export.gov is a great starting point to talk to your local Department of Commerce international trade specialist. There's about 108 offices around the country. They have some familiarity with the resources of Census, of SBA, of all the different pockets of help available to you, and you can find that local office through 1-800-USA-TRADE or export.gov.
And the export assistance centers are wonderful. I've visited a few, and the people there are very, very helpful.
Operator, is there another question?
Once again, if you'd like to ask a question, please press star one. One moment.
While we're waiting, here's a question. By finding the market share, which criteria do they search? What do they need?
When you're trying to find the market share, one of the things you can do under USA Trade Online is you would search based upon your particular commodity, and then you can actually do a search for all the countries individually, and you can see where the import and export statistics for each particular commodity, for each particular country, and you can also do a growth rate percentage through USA Trade Online added on, and you can actually see if there's something that's a hot market where it seems to be like the interest in your product is growing, or another one where it seems to have cooled off a little bit.
Operator?
Paul, your line is open.
Hi, Terry. I've got a question. We just recently bought a company, and they had a bunch of HS codes that they were using.
Okay.
And I called up my I have one HS code for our traditional products that I have used for the last 20 years, and it works fine. But with this new company, we've got about 6 or 8 different codes. And I was one of those multitaskers that just jumped on to the census.gov site, and I found that initial HS code, but none of these other ones are listed, and it seems to me a little odd. I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong in my search or something.
This is in the Schedule B search?
Yeah.
If you're only finding one but not the other ones, I don't think you're doing something wrong. It may be something that the code may not actually. Actually, that's an interesting question. Now I'm wondering where they actually got the other HS codes that they're not showing up in the Schedule B search.
Codes do change from time to time.
True.
Yeah, I understand that, but I can't believe these would change from year to year. These are very, like my other one has stayed the same for 20 years, and I check it every year to make sure. But on that site, however, when you first get into it and ask for a code, it asks for which year, and it can pull up 2011. But after that, it goes to the FTD Schedule B search, and then it only allows you to search 2009.
Okay, right.
Could it be that something's not updated on the site, or do I just need to go back to 2009? Or
no, that could actually be. I see that initially you can search for 2011 or 2010 code, and then when you go to are you using the Schedule B search engine?
Yeah.
That should be for 2011 as well. For this particular question, you can email me, and I can follow up for you.
Cool.
If you can email me the actual codes.
Sure.
And I can follow up for you and then get back to you and find out what's going on with that.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Operator, are there any other questions?
If you'd like to ask a question, please press star 1.
We'll be wrapping up in a few minutes here. I know that Terry had made herself available for a complete hour, so until 3 Eastern, and wanted to give you the chance to submit.
We do have another question.
Last questions. Go ahead.
Betty Lou, your line is open.
All right, thank you. Last time, this question regarding the accuracy of the data. Last time I tried to see what the cruise rate, Oregon, for example, what the log sale exporting. And I know before that they did a lot of log sales. But when I went to the data, USA data, they don't even have the number for 2010, and not even for this year from January to March.
What site were you using?
USA Trade.
And you're saying that, USA Trade Online is updated through March 2011. So
data for 2010, and not even this year's data for the wood exporting. So in that cell, and they just indicated blank.
Okay, so you're saying that when you actually clicked on the view table, it returned there was no data within that particular cell.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? Why don't you email me the code that you're searching for?
Okay.
And I can look into that and see if perhaps it's just for that particular commodity code, there's nothing there because, as Kelly had mentioned earlier, commodity codes do change, and a lot of times you won't see it until you see a side-by-side comparison of a previous one and the new one, and you can see where one has dropped off and the other one has picked up.
Okay.
So if you can email me, that would be great.
All right, thanks.
And the data is showing from particular ports as well. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it could be that while that area that you mentioned may be a large producer, supplier of logs or whatever it is, but they may have changed their shipping, their intermodal systems or whatnot. So now it's going out through a different port.
No, I'm pretty sure it's the same port, unless they use different code.
It's possible that the code is different, so I can actually, if you send me the codes, I can actually look and see what's going on with that.
All right, thank you.
We'll take one more question, operator, if there's any in the queue.
There are no questions.
Okay. Terry, did you want to make any last comments or tips, suggestions to the listeners who are still on, who are looking at using?
Okay. I just want to say that I would encourage everybody to sign up for the free trial for USA Trade Online. And it's, like I said, it's for the full database, and it is current through March 2011. If you have any questions, please call me or email me directly, and I can get back to you, within a day or so and hopefully have an answer for you. Other than that, I would just encourage you to also go to the census.gov site and definitely look at the International Goods and Trades and Services Report. You'll find, again, the overall balance of trade and the import and export information value-wise for the last 3 years, but also a hot topic right now, again, is the petroleum imports, and they actually break that down, as well as the advanced technology products. And there's also services information, which is compiled from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. So that's a very, very useful report. And one last thing, I would also encourage everybody to go to the census.gov website to see the profile of exporting and importing companies. This is an annual report, and this is the first year that they've included importing companies. And it breaks it down by company type, small, medium, and large, and it actually tells you the number of companies in each state and the dollar value.
U.S. businesses that are importing and how much they're importing.
Correct, and exporting.
By state.
By state.
Interesting. Wow, a wealth of information. That's been very informative. Thank you for your time and sharing that expertise with everybody, and this, in particular, your offer to follow up with any specific questions that folks may have. Thank you to all of you for participating in our Basic Guide to Exporting series, and do encourage you to join programs in the future. We will repeat this series in the fall, so if you missed a live event and it's not up on our archive page that I directed you to earlier, you can catch it in the fall. Thank you, everyone. We're going to close the program.
That concludes today's conference call. All lines may disconnect. Once again, that concludes today's conference call. All lines may disconnect.